Underdog is the leading place to make all your sports picks, and you can play now in your state. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog, and it's easy. All you have to do is download the app and choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats. You can choose strikeouts, total bases, or home runs, or go higher or lower on three-pointers or rebounds. You can play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. This week, I'm looking at baseball, and as usual, Aaron Judge is my choice to go higher on the stats that involve his hitting. Download the Underdog app or go to UnderdogFantasy.com and sign up with promo code GARAGE to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code GARAGE. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncp.gambling.org. In Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Craving your next action-packed adventure? Audible delivers thrills of every kind on your command, like Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, where a lone astronaut must save humanity from extinction, narrated with stunning intensity by Ray Porter. From electrifying suspense and daring quests to spine-tingling horror and romance in far-off realms, unleash your adventurous side with gripping titles that'll keep you guessing. Discover exclusive Audible originals, hotly anticipated new releases, and must-listen bestsellers that hook you from the first minute. Because Audible knows there's no greater thrill than the one that speaks to you. Discover what lies beyond the edge of your seat. Start your free 30-day trial at audible.com/WonderyUS. That's audible.com/WonderyUS.
Yeah. Josh Arnold, investment consultant, brings you Garage Logic podcast number 1564, June 16th, 2025. 97 degrees on this day in 1933 and 43 degrees on the morning of this day in 1961.
Hail the Flash?
No, I want to tell you first.
That's right.
Call Josh Arnold at 952-925-5608 for a free 48-minute consultation by a guy who knows what he's talking about.
We're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way because your producer already hit the open button.
What the hell is this?
This is our old open.
Oh, hi, everybody.
How are you?
What a weekend in the Twin Cities. Are we joined by Tom Hauser?
We will be as soon as I fade this out and give him a phone call, sir.
All right. Tom Hauser was...
He's probably still at the federal press conference.
Well, that's a good point. He might be unavailable if he's attending that federal press conference. Lance, what's his name? Vance. Well, Reavers, and I don't want you to regale us with any... Well, I'll let him get off the phone first.
What's your question, sir?
Was Vance Bolter or the Bolter family involved in baseball?
I don't know.
I heard that they were a big town ball family. And I'm not kidding. But you'd have to call somebody to ask him. Because if in fact, I'm now willing to believe that they weren't a big town ball family or Reavers would have known about it.
Probably.
All right. Yeah, Melissa Hortman was shot. Her husband was shot. They're both dead. Mr. Hoffman was shot. His name is John Hoffman. His wife, Yvette Hoffman. They're surviving their surgeries. Yvette Hoffman really showed me something. She laid on top of their daughter, who has spinal bifida, and protected the daughter. Makes you wonder about the sanity of the world.
I can't process is wonder why her daughter would be up at 2:30 or 3 o'clock or whatever time that was.
Well, it was loud knocking on the door and yelling, police.
Okay.
And that, the whole house, I'm guessing, woke up. That's just my guess.
Yeah, if there's...
But that's what Yvette told reporters.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just waiting here while Reavers talks to Hauser to see if Hauser's available.
Can you talk right now?
Jeez. Testing my patience, isn't it?
I tell you.
But I'm doing fine. I winnowed down the mulch pile.
Oh, that's
I
wonderful.
drove by Mount Mulch the other day.
You didn't see the.
No, that was a.
What's the story?
I really thank you for your patience. Tom Hauser's on limited time, and he'd like to talk to you right now because we have breaking news in that regard with change of the timeline of events.
May Tom break the news? Tom? Mr. Hauser?
Yes.
What is breaking just now?
Well, I think you guys might have been watching the FBI news conference. We have a different timeline of events that is emerging here, and I was up in the North Metro, going from the Hoffman house to the Hortman house, trying to get a feel for what happened. And now what the FBI and the BCA are telling us is that Belter went to Hoffman's house and did the shootings there, and did not go directly to Hortman's house. He went to a state representative's home in Maple Grove, and no one was there. Apparently, that representative was on vacation. I'm not going to reveal the name right now. They didn't reveal it in the news conference, and I don't want to reveal it here until we know more. But they were not home. So then he moved on to a senator's home in New Hope. And while he was parked out in front of the home in New Hope police, after the Hoffman shooting, had also proactively sent someone to this state lawmaker's home to check on this state lawmaker. And when the police showed up there, Belter was actually there in that private security vehicle that was mistaken for a police vehicle by various people because it looked very much like one. And apparently the New Hope officer attempted to make some contact with him. And again, this is just my understanding from this news conference, that he just didn't respond. He just sat there looking straight ahead. And so this officer, uncertain about what was going on, because, even if this officer recognized this was a private security firm, they thought, well, maybe it's somebody who's here protecting her. They went up to check on her, and she was fine, but then Belter drove away. And then, as far as we can tell, and again, they're piecing this all together. So, and so am I. So bear with me. Then he went to the Hortman house. That's why there was such a length of time between being at the Hoffman house and being at the Hortman house, because we just did the drive ourselves. Hortman and Hoffman live 5.9 miles apart. It was only a 13-minute drive. So there were questions about why was he not at Hortman's house until, I forget the exact time. This is all kind of starting to run together, but it seems to me that was 3:30 in the morning, something along those lines. So now we know why. It's because he drove to Maple Grove and New Hope before he came back to the Brooklyn Park Champlin area.
Tom, I have him
some of it made sense.
I have him in New Hope at 2:36 a.m. So, and then are you privy to the events that happened?
You have him in New Hope according to this new FBI timeline?
Yeah, according to the press conference that just happened, yes.
Yeah.
Are you aware of the change in what happened at Hortman's house? From what I can understand, and I'm not sure about this because it's really confusing, the Brooklyn Park Police rolled up as he was trying to make his way into their front door. Can you confirm that?
No, it was my understanding he was making his way out. And
yeah.
That's when police exchanged gunfire with him.
That's what I had heard all weekend long, and now it sounds like he was making his way in.
Where are you getting that?
From that press conference that just concluded with the federal authorities.
Yeah, and I was up here in the North Metro and did not hear all of it, but I started getting this information from the station. But that sounds unlikely. It's possible,
right? Yeah, it does.
But it's possible also that he was going back in.
Right.
Like
Yep.
maybe he'd already done the shootings.
Yep.
And he had come out to his car or whatever and was going back in. So
That makes more sense, Tom. Yeah.
I will have to listen more carefully to that, because I would find it hard to believe that he would know there are police out in front, and then he would go and still
Right.
do this
Yeah.
and then flee out the back door. But who knows? Anything is possible at this point as we try to piece all this together.
I want to go back to New Hope for a moment. It's all water under the bridge, but apparently what it sounds like is the New Hope officer might have dismissed the fellow who is Bolter because he was sitting in what the New Hope officer might have just assumed was a private security vehicle. Is that correct?
Yes, that is possible. And although you would think that when they get dispatched to go check, maybe they didn't pass along the information that the shooter at the Hortman house was impersonating a police officer, which the first thing you would think, if you see a private security person, you would think, okay, maybe this is the person who is impersonating a police officer, because those security uniforms can look a lot like a police uniform.
And what do we account for the arrival of police at Hortman's house?
That was the story we started on before we knew this new timeline. There is a sergeant in Brooklyn Park who, while Brooklyn Park was assisting Champlin Police at the Hortman house, a sergeant back at Brooklyn Park PD had the idea to grab a couple of officers who were at the department and said, why don't you go do a drive-by Melissa Hortman's house?
Okay.
She has had previous threats against her before in her role as House Speaker and House Speaker Emerita, and they were used to doing security drive-bys at her house.
Okay.
So he had the forethought to say, why don't you go drive by there? So right as they roll up, this was happening. This gunman was at the door, either coming or going, and that's how Brooklyn Park police happened to get here, blocked his car in. His car was in the driveway, and the chief out here, Mark Bruley, says that was their first red flag, because police departments generally never park in someone's driveway. They'll be out in front of the house. This car was in the driveway with its lights flashing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting. Tom, do you know how, has it been talked about how he went from the Hortman residence to his rental apartment thing in North Minneapolis? How did he get there?
There's just a lot of speculation, and again, I don't know if I'm guessing the FBI didn't shed more light on this. I listened to the earlier news conference at 10, but the speculation has been he either meticulously planned this in case something happened. He had a change of clothes stored somewhere, or he had a vehicle somewhere that he could get to, or it may be simply, remember Brooklyn Park in North Minneapolis where that rented room was?
Mm-hmm.
That's not, I haven't done the GPS search on that yet, how many miles that is, but it is walkable. Mm-hmm. It might take you a couple of hours. It might take you a couple of hours to do that, but it can be done. And we know he was at that house, we think around 6 a.m. So if he left the Hortman home around 4 a.m., he could have made it there within a couple of hours, even if he was on foot. So there are just still so many unanswered questions that I'm certain that they are grilling him about now. Whether or not he's cooperating or not, I do not know.
Are you aware of a social media film that appears to be some guy's backyard security camera that shows a fellow presumed to be Belter breaking into a car?
Yes, I have seen that. The only way you can really identify him is by the hat.
Right.
That has kind of become his signature. Breaks in a side window and appears to be rifling through a vehicle and taking items, and then he leaves the scene. But it's unclear what timeline that was or how that fits into this whole thing. It was certainly daylight, so it was after the shootings.
Right. All right. Tom, are you still at the press conference?
No, I'm up in the North Metro we were originally trying to recreate the timeline that we thought we knew earlier. Mm-hmm. And now I am trying to find out. I had a tip on Saturday that there had been another lawmaker, and I was given the specific name in Maple Grove. And we asked about it at a news conference on Saturday, and they wouldn't talk about any other stops he may have made, but they did say, we're trying to work on a timeline of where he has been. And I'm almost certain that as early as Saturday, they knew about these other stops, but they were still trying to piece it all together. So we are in the North Metro now, and we're going to try to do the timeline for how long it might have taken to get from Maple Grove to New Hope and then back here to Brooklyn Park, just to kind of get a feel for how this all happened. And of course, we're reaching out to the lawmakers who we think are the ones who might be involved. But as you can imagine, all of them are very freaked out, and for good reason. Mm-hmm. And they're not. So far, they're hesitant to talk about this because it's all too fresh and raw. And I mean, people are dead. People were seriously wounded, and it is just a very, very strange time right now.
What is the journalistic reason for not naming those legislators?
Well, they didn't name them in the news conference.
Okay.
So some of this is my informed speculation.
All right.
Some of it is a tip I got on Saturday. But at some point, we may be more comfortable with revealing that. But, we still have a responsibility of making sure people are safe and,
right.
and that they don't feel even more endangered than they already do.
Right.
So we're just exercising caution here as this is all brand new information, like literally within the past hour or even less than that.
Tom, how are the trials going to work now? The feds have stepped in, and it sounds like they're going to try him. Does that mean that Minnesota and Hennepin County is off the table? How's this work? Do you know?
I'm not sure. Sometimes they can do both. The federal government, has stricter sentencing. As I recall, if you get convicted of first-degree murder, you're never leaving prison. Whereas state law, you can be eligible maybe in 30 years or sometimes even less. I find that hard to believe in this particular case, but so I'm still not certain how they're going to sort all of that out. But I do know there's a hearing coming up here in about an hour and 15 minutes. In federal, I believe that one. Now, since the FBI thing, I'm not sure if that's federal or in Hennepin County where the initial hearing is happening, but it will be happening at 1:30.
Tom, thank you as always.
Okay, Joe.
All right, thank you, Tom Hauser with 5 Eyewitness News. He's the best in town. Among your conventional news gatherers, I would say Hauser's the best. Everything in life is timing, isn't it? Jeez. The New Hope legislator is alive because of timing.
Yeah.
The New Hope cop was just enough to scare away.
And the one that was on vacation?
One's on vacation. Everything is just a matter of the clock ticking, isn't it?
Man.
It's just amazing. And he had quite a hit list that I'm reading, and I could take a stab at who these people are that he knocked on their door, but I think I'll just respect the idea that we don't know that for a fact, so we're fact-based. Sometimes we're fact-based.
Right.
It's just, it's
some names I didn't expect to see on that list.
Yeah, I don't pretend to understand the list.
Yeah.
Hortman is hardly I would not call Hortman a Mysterian.
No, she crossed party lines in order to get the budget passed, which didn't sit well with a lot of people in her party.
Well,
obviously.
You heard her, is it trepidation the right word, when she was giving those remarks publicly, and her body language and everything.
Yeah, but I think she was emotional because she didn't want to vote the way she did. I don't think she was emotional because she thought that would
Upset?
pull a string on a sweater that would result in her death.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right
they-
there,
Even
Joe.
Garofalo has explained their relationship, that she's
Well, they were buddies.
right.
Well, he
So
said that on the
that's-
show.
Right.
Yeah.
Say, I have a really great note from Derek Brennan, who writes, the wife and I came home from a nice lunch Friday to a garage door that would not open. The spring had broken. I looked at her, whipped out my phone, and said, I got a guy. I called Precision Garage Door. I'm not kidding you. They were there in less than half an hour. In 2 hours, I had new springs, rollers, cables, and a full inspection and tune-up. The pricing was fair, and the service guy explained everything that needed to be done and everything that should be done. This was one of the best home service experiences I've ever had. Thanks for recommending them on the show. Kind regards, Derek Brennan. Well, isn't that something?
Yeah.
He's talking about Precision Door, Minnesota. They serve western Wisconsin, the entire metro. They do what Derek just explained if you have an emergency call, but also they're providing new garage doors. They have doors. They have models of doors for every budget. They send out a designer. That consultation is absolutely free. And if you get a new garage door now from Precision Door, they're throwing in the motor. That's a value of more than $760. You can book online at Precision Door MN, one word, precisiondoormn.com, or call Precision Door at 612-263-6985.
Reavers here once again for my guy, Mr. Money Talk, Josh Arnold. Does thinking about retirement make you uncomfortable? Well, sometimes the anxiety from wondering if you've saved enough can be overwhelming. But what if I told you that you could ease those tensions in just 48 minutes? Well, Mr. Money Talk is going to be able to sit down with you and get you on the right track for your financial future. Josh has navigated it all when it comes to uncertain market and economic conditions, and he'll always provide straight talk, never sugar-coated advice on how to reach the finish line with your retirement goals. Don't let your financial worries give you an ulcer or keep you from calling Josh right now. His 48-minute, no-obligation consultation could be just what you need to feel better about your future. Call Josh today at 952-925-5608 and set up your free 48-minute, no-obligation consultation. That's 952-925-5608.
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Chris Reavers is a paid endorser.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and he feels fine. Joe Souchere.
I've come up with an emergency survival kit that every GLer should have in the daily driver. It's the big three, the Sea Foam Big Three. We should all have these, a spray bottle or two of Bugs Be Gone. Carry them with you right there in the driver's or the rear passenger pocket, anywhere. Make sure they're handy. The Seafoam engine treatment, keep those cylinders happy. And, of course, this amazing deep creep penetrating oil. You never know when you're going to need it, so why not always have it on hand? And it really works better than any other product on the market. This Bugs Be Gone now, I know you're listening to me and you go, oh, this guy's full of BS. There's no way. I am not stretching the truth even a little bit. It is amazing, and it works as promised.
Kenny,
one time. Yeah, go ahead.
I just got to
Interrupt
tell you,
me, please do.
Gabe just came back from Red Rock, and that's what he used. He used Bugs Be Gone, and they slid right off the Jeep.
We're talking baked on bugs that you normally, you need a little elbow grease there. No, it's really easy. Spray it on, let it sit there for a few minutes, and then get out the squeegee, do that windshield like you would if there weren't any bugs at all. That's how easy it is. The deep creep penetrating oil, it's all you'll ever need for lubrication, restoration, displacing moisture. It's the car care kit. Deep creep, Bugs Be Gone, and the engine treatment additive. Buy all three. Give them as gifts. You'll be loved for it. Our own local company with a global reach. Seafoam.
That's a violation. You coughed in the microphone.
You know how much mulch I got? And I'm going to wrap this up after today. My favorite analogy is that I bought enough mulch to build, if it was concrete, to build 3 two-car garages.
Wow.
Yeah.
A 6-car garage.
How many swimming pools?
Well, I can do swimming pools because JJ has done this. The last few days, you've lamented about the inability of you and your crack staff to understand how mulch is measured. I've prepared some comparisons for your upstanding pleasure. The average Olympic-sized swimming pool would hold 3,269 yards of mulch. You can fit 1,110,857 paper clips into a single yard of mulch. So, Joe, you ordered just under 50 million paper clips worth of mulch, or put it another way, 1/72nd Olympic-sized swimming pool worth of mulch. And then he says, hope that helps. And then P.S., if a bat and ball costs
No. You know.
And then what's the other one? And I want to end this today because I've made great strides getting rid of the mulch. I guess that might have been. I kept a few, but
Since these guys are so smart, I'm going to go out and somehow measure my driveway, the cul-de-sac, the road to the back of the shop. I'm going to put that down in yards, and I'm going to have a GLer tell me exactly how much gravel I need to order to cover all of it, because it's a gravel ordering year this year.
I mentioned earlier that I'd heard, and I apologize, I don't know where. I heard that this, is it Bolter or Belter?
Belcher.
Belter, either himself or maybe, well, he's got, I think, only one son. He's got, 4 daughters and a son. So maybe obviously the daughters didn't play town ball, but maybe his son did, or maybe he did. And you were able to tell me off air that you are vaguely familiar with that situation.
When the story developed, and so I was involved with baseball a weekend, both my sons were playing, but when I didn't recognize the name, but when I saw the photo of him, because I'm okay with names, remembering names. I'm not rookie quality of remembering names.
No, there's only
okay.
one rookie when it comes to names.
But faces I recognize instantly.
Yeah.
And I said, I've met this guy before. And I can't put a number or a finger on it exactly where, but keep in mind, I've been involved with town baseball since 1996 when I was in high school.
Right.
So I've encountered hundreds, if not thousands, of people involved with town baseball. But I recognized his face the second I saw, I think it was Tom's piece on social media.
And there's really nowhere to go with this except that town ball, for example, would be large in the fabric of life, let's say in Green Isle.
Oh, it's everything. That's what made it so shocking is, I mean, I quite literally drove by the ballpark Saturday with my kid coming home from baseball.
And this is a fellow who you might have seen as a coach or a player.
Or a fan.
I
mean, some of those Green Isle games, they'll have a couple hundred people.
Because in other words, I'm still trying to get to, there's a modest point to be made here.
Okay.
It's a big deal for a game to be held, hey, Saturday afternoon, the Green Isle team's playing. It's a
Arlington.
big deal for the town.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And he was part of that fabric. He was known by the people in town.
I would assume so. And I reached out to a couple of my Green Isle confidants off the record. But Green Isle's not that big of a town.
No.
And that's what's a shame of it is because it's Americana. I love that city of Green Isle.
Identify it precisely and geographically.
So if you are heading from the Twin Cities, you're going to go southwest. You're probably going to take
169.
169. You might cut over either on 19 or you could cut over on 25 from Belle Plaine.
Okay.
And you're going to head straight west on 25, probably 25 on Belle Plaine.
For how long?
Maybe half an hour at the most. Right. Or you could take 212
to 25. That's what Kenny would do.
Well, but the problem is, Ken, that 212 is a nightmare right now because of construction.
Yeah.
But either way, that's how you would probably get to Green Isle. And I love that city. It's a great city.
And there's 300 town ball teams in the state, did you say?
It give or take every year, but roughly that, yeah.
I guess what we're learning is that it's just, again, it's a curious slice of Americana that someone that many listeners right now, because you told me many listeners are in town ball, many people play town ball. It's important to small town life, and they're among you. There among them was this fellow. That's just I find that very interesting.
Speaking of it's a small world, we've got a guy there at the station. I was chatting with him over the weekend because he is originally from Arlington.
Yep.
Yeah.
he knows the guy that lives across the road from Belcher.
See, it's just it is a small world, man.
Yeah, and he said he had to call him to warn him to make sure he knew what was up. Yeah.
And that's, I guess, Ken, what was so stunning for me, where they discovered his car. I mean, that's about, I don't know, 10, maybe 15 minutes from my house.
There's so much. It was such an emotional roller coaster over the weekend with regards to Belcher, because I discovered early on Saturday this Praetorian Guard website, which is his website for his so-called security business. And I went to the, who we are, and I read about him. And it would make you think, and I fell victim to it, it would make you think that this guy has spycraft worthy of the CIA, considering where he's been around the country. That's how they played it, Joe, on the website.
I couldn't. You sent me the link, and I could not access the website.
Yeah, they shut it down mid-morning this morning. So I'm operating on that, and before we knew that he had showed up at his roommate's place, I thought, oh my God, this guy is so far gone. He is already halfway across the United States. And then finally it dawned on me when we found his cowboy hat on the side of the road. Mm-hmm. I thought, okay, we either have a genius here, and this is a false flag, and he did this on purpose to throw authorities off, or he's just a complete idiot.
Were you able to access the so-called security company's website?
I just told you I was all over it all weekend.
Any interesting names affiliated with it? Anyone we'd recognize?
His wife, his brother, and him, and maybe one other.
It was a pretty simple website, too. Kenny, I don't know if you agree.
Cookie cutter, I'd call it. Yeah. Cookie
As one
cutter.
person's pointing out, the website looked like it was by my third graders.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
That was mentioned at my house by a younger man, yes.
Do we all remain interested? I certainly do. Do we all remain interested in the story of the wife and relatives in Onamia?
Yeah.
The big question.
It really is.
Why wasn't she detained?
Apparently she didn't do anything to cause her to be arrested. Guns are legal, passports are legal, and money's legal.
Yeah.
And there she was in Onamia, of all places. I don't know why. None of us do. I don't know if that'll even come up.
Have we
in
heard
the questioning.
from her since?
No. Yes. Was it Hauser that got to her, or Jay Coles? Rang her up, and the minute they identified themselves, she hung up.
Oh, yeah.
She wouldn't talk. I don't know if it was her, maybe another station. I don't know.
Hauser, Coles, and Liz Collin they had all the breaking news over the weekend. They were the quickest.
Carol Evans got a weekend anchor named Morgan Huey Wolf Slattery.
I think it's Morgan Wolf.
Whatever. And as an anchor, she ain't going to win an Emmy. But she turned out to be a really stand-up reporter. They were going to her all the. It's just amazing how people can pull their act together. She was very good.
We think of these guys as news readers and prompter readers, but another one is Amy Hockert.
Yeah,
she worked 8 hours on Saturday without a teleprompter, and she did an amazing job.
Morgan, who I have met, she actually used to work here downstairs.
See, now I didn't know that.
I'm stunned.
Yeah, for $1 million. Yeah. Who is that?
But Morgan also has won an Emmy and Murrow Award.
For reporting or anchoring?
For both anchoring and reporting.
What the hell, Morgan?
So,
jeez.
Congratulations.
Sometimes I don't take your opinion on
I don't blame
things.
you.
A grain of salt.
You're talking to a guy who ordered 4-car garage worth of mulch.
A lot of misinformation over the weekend. What do you make, Joe? I want to start with the first thing that came out. He's a Walz appointee, so it's Democrats killing Democrats. What do you make of that?
Oh, my God.
Well, what I make of that is Walz appoints a lot of people, and somebody gave Walz his name, and there was a little resume that went along with it, and Walz said appoint that guy. I'm sure Walz doesn't know who the hell
he actually reappointed him because Dayton appointed him first.
I can blame Walz for so much, but I'm not nailing this on him.
Okay, so then after we figured that one out, it went to Trumpers, MAGA, all MAGA people want to kill Democrats. This is all Trump's fault. What do you make of that?
I don't make anything of it. It's silly. It was compounded by this weekend being the No Kings protest.
Yeah.
So the whole the two episodes seem to blend together. That we had this terrible assassination of local politicians on the same day that people were rallying across the country against Trump, and inevitably, given the way gossip and news travels in this country, the two were blended together. They have nothing to do with each other, and it wasn't. I can't believe this was Trump's fault. In Belter's mind, who knows how his mind operates, but it didn't seem likely he was acting on behalf of Trump. Trump doesn't know Melissa Hortman from the Man in the Moon.
Hortman.
Hortman, I'm sorry.
Saturday morning, the governor recommended not going to the march and the protest.
And I can assure you that was not obeyed.
And he also, I sat here in the studio all day on Saturday.
Yeah.
I put in 10 bleeping hours. Yeah. Anyway, he also said on Saturday morning and then again yesterday and this morning, tone down the rhetoric.
Yeah. Well, Tim, you should start with yourself, too.
Well, first, before we get to Tim, so Ellison showed up to speak. And oh my God, he turned the rhetoric up to about 1,000 degrees.
He did the opposite of calm everybody
down. Did Ellison
down.
turn it into a let's fry Trump?
Well, the first thing he did was bring up Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
And then he went from there. And of course, everything's Trump's fault.
I know that the recommendation to avoid the protest at the Capitol was not obeyed because I have 3 walking routes, and on Saturday I thought I'm going to take my Summit Hill walk.
Whoopsie!
And I usually park near the cathedral, and I couldn't get within a mile of it.
Yeah,
so
it was. I was able to watch all of that on the traffic cams. It was really interesting seeing them flock in, and then shortly thereafter, it didn't go on very long. They flocked back out.
But it was pulled off without violence.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Would you like to hear from Keith?
Sure.
We owe it to him. We have to do it. We must be there on behalf of the people of this country in this hour when a dictator who wants to be a king is trying to run over the rights of the people. We must be there. We must stand up. We must be strong. We cannot waver. We will not be intimidated. We are not scared of his jail. We are not scared of anything about this guy.
Okay,
we are
Keith.
not afraid.
Thanks, Keith. I don't really think that was called for, given what you knew had just happened, Keith.
Right.
So I'd love to have you expand on your thoughts on the governor just spewing the most hateful things you can possibly imagine in the last 6 months since the election, to now calling for all of us to calm the rhetoric. What do you make of that?
I've just, reached a conclusion, getting to be for some time now, that he's just not a very bright guy, and he's going to regret many of the things he says, and because he's not bright, he'll wait till somebody tells him that he's gone too far, and then he'll back off. And he's been a big mistake for this state. He's a horrible mistake for this country. He's just not a qualified, competent guy. And one of his problems is he thinks he's playing a role. He thinks on the national scene he has to be at the forefront of being an anti-Trumper and saying ridiculous things and preening about and prancing about stages. And it's because, I'm sorry, he's an idiot.
There's one thing that happened, and this probably isn't even worth bringing it up, but I have to. We didn't know Saturday morning. Everybody kept saying that the Hortmans and the Hoffmans had been shot, and we did not know that Melissa and Mark were dead. There was one reporter on the 9 that kept referring to them in the past tense without saying it. But the second the governor came out, he announced that Melissa and Mark were deceased. And he was very, very emotional, and I can't blame him. But Am I reading too much into that where he would say, let me make the announcement?
Isn't that usually a matter of notifying family members before that's
if he had the information, it was information worth knowing.
Well, shouldn't it have been released an hour beforehand or 2 hours beforehand?
Of course. It should have been released the minute people knew.
See, my problem is my walls, what's it called? My syndrome? It gets in the way of everything, so I don't trust myself sometimes.
Rook, look up Julie, Julie.
Thank you.
Von, lowercase v, V-O-N. Last name Hafen, capital H, A-E-F-E-N. Shouldn't take you long. It's a Google search.
I haven't even typed in the name yet, and you're already looking for it.
Yep. Julie von Hoffen, H-A-E-F-E-N. And you should discover that she's a North Carolina state representative.
Oh, yeah.
And
had to go to the Google.
Yeah.
Julie von Hafen.
What do you find?
We're going to Wikipedia.
Yeah, I'll take that.
She is 54, born in Westchester Township in Ohio.
What is she right now?
She is a North Carolina House of Representative for the 36th District.
She attended the so-called Peaceful No Kings rally, and she had the decapitated heads of Trump and Musk on a pole. This wasn't some angry nobody. It was a Democratic state representative. I was sent this by Eric.
Was it a mostly peaceful decapitated head?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's what we don't need. You know.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
Here, controversies. In June of 2025, she incited controversy by posting an image into the social media site X depicting a rallygoer at a No Kings protest holding an effigy of the two heads with a bloody guillotine.
Okay, so she showed someone else holding these things?
By posting an image on the social media site.
All right. Well, it's we don't need to dwell on it. It was just...
She has subsequently deleted the image.
Keith looks like a Boy Scout compared to that stunt.
Person.
Well, I came up with stunt.
There you go.
Wasn't there a female comedian that did that?
Kathy Griffin.
I don't think she's ever recovered from it.
No.
Yeah.
Kenny, by the way, those 10 hours are not billable that you worked on. I was just informed.
Boy,
by
doesn't he know
Shively.
that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be ready.
Yeah,
I was going to ask, since Kenny was working and he called me, can I put that on my timesheet?
Yes.
What are you, a lawyer charging by the minute?
Yeah.
Can we take a break?
The Earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
Joe, it's too late for you to back out, Such. It's coming this Friday. We're committed.
I can't wait. I love it.
I know. I'm coming down. I got to tell you something. Full disclosure, I have never been to a Back to the 50s weekend.
You haven't?
Really? I've never been to one.
I've been to every one for the last 35 years.
I am so excited. This is better than a Kiss concert. We're talking about
I would hope so.
We're talking about the 51st MSRA Back to the 50s weekend. State Fairgrounds starts on Friday. 10,000 pre-64 hot rods and customs.
Biggest event of its kind in the country.
Yeah. It's a big one. 200 vendors. And the perfect place for it, the leafy, lovable Minnesota State Fairgrounds. A cruise and arts fair, ladies showcase, kids world, and GL. We're going to be there on Friday laying down a pod right around noon at our buddy Orgera's place. It's on the corner of Dan Patch and Cosgrove. Flyover, 11 a.m. Saturday. That's cool. Church on Sunday morning. And the big event that we're really, really excited about, and it's why we decided to go. The Great Race kicks off from the fairgrounds on Saturday. We're celebrating cylinders all summer long, and along this line, we're going to talk to the fellas that participate in the Great Race. It's kind of an endurance race that over the span of a week will finally end up in South Carolina. It's for cars 74 and older. And they have a specific route they have to follow with checkpoints, and we're really interested in that. We want you GLers to join us at the O'Gara's location, noon on Friday, for the 51st MSRA Back to the 50s weekend.
Can I tell you something about Oakmont Country Club, Oakmont Golf Course, which was the site of the U.S. Open, which was just a hell of a great Open, won by a guy who had never won a major, J.J. Spawn. And Oakmont has been in the news since 1904. It's been the site of many U.S. Opens. And I'll get to the point. I always thought it was way west, almost way out in western Pennsylvania. Hell, I bet it ain't 10 miles from downtown. It took me a long time, but I nailed her down on a map. It's just north and a tad east of downtown Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So there you have it.
Gotcha.
It's too late now. I mean, it's over, but I finally figured out where it is.
As I learned last week on Monday Night Sports Talk, she's got a freeway that goes right through her.
Which as much money as Founds had, the guy who founded it, he didn't have as much money as J. Pierpont Morgan or whoever ran the train. And they said, the train's staying. Well, the train stayed, so what the hell? They said, so can the Pennsylvania Turnpike. It doesn't bother them. It was fine. It's probably to Pittsburgh what distance-wise is maybe Minneapolis Golf Club is to Minneapolis. I thought it was rural. It's not rural. Thank you. Here's John Haidt.
Oh, wait, I have one question about golf. Have you played Edinburgh?
I have not. I've been there for work purposes, Saturday Sports Talk. No, where's the 3M held?
TPC.
I haven't been to Edinburgh. Is that Jesse's course?
Yeah.
Or it was?
Played there with him. Was it Royce and I?
I bet they did not allow play Saturday.
Yes.
I bet it was closed Saturday.
Man over there's about to get.
Yeah.
The Hortmans walk out their back door, or they did, right onto the golf course.
They're on the course. Yeah.
Oh. Yep.
Yep. Here's John Haidt.
Thank you, Joe. This news is brought to you by North American Banking Company. As we've been talking about pretty much the whole show, the man who authorities say shot and killed House Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman and her husband and injured Senator John Hoffman and his wife is now facing capital charges. The Justice Department charging 57-year-old Vance Belter with federal murder and stalking offenses. The U.S. Attorney's Office announced the update in their investigation during that news conference we chatted about, adding Belter went to 4 homes as he searched for lawmakers, but some of them weren't home. In one case, the lawmaker who was not identified was on vacation, not home. In the other case, Belter left after police got there, according to acting U.S. Attorney Joseph H. Thompson. Belter planned his attack carefully, Thompson said, by researching his intended victims and their families and conducting surveillance of their homes and taking notes. Alvin Winston, a special agent in charge of the FBI's Minneapolis field office, he said this was a targeted attack against individuals who answered the call to public service. The resulting search, he said, was the largest manhunt in the history of Minnesota. Police to this point have not publicly identified a motive. Authorities found a notebook with a list of roughly 70 potential targets on it, including Democratic lawmakers. Governor Walz called the attacks politically motivated, while officials noted lawmakers that were on the list were outspoken in favor of abortion access. Assault rifles and flyers for anti-Trump protests were found in the suspect's car, prompting organizers to cancel demonstrations planned later that day. The protests, though, continued regardless, with police estimating that over 20,000 people attended the No Kings rally at the state capitol in St. Paul. As for Belter's background, the Wall Street Journal reporting he had built a scattered career that included food companies, retailing, and pastoring, according to public records and his online posts. He's been living with his wife in a rural area outside the Twin Cities, staying a few nights a week at a rental home in Minneapolis with a couple of roommates. Belter was working overnight shifts for an organization that handles eye donations, said one roommate. And lifelong friend David Carlson said he was trying to get a security company off the ground. Carlson said Belter voted for President Trump and was against abortion, considering it murder, but Carlson never thought his views were outside the mainstream. Online posts paint a picture of Belter as a devout Christian and pastor who preached at Laborn Matadi, a church in the Congo. An archived website for his ministry described his global travels to preach, stating he sought out militant Islamists in order to share the gospel. He quit most of his jobs before his last trip to Africa, was struggling to build back a solid income, according to his ex-roommate. A website for Praetorian Guard Security Services lists Belter as part of the leadership and advertised armed residential security. State records confirm his past appointments to the governor's Workforce Development Board, first under Democratic Governor Mark Dayton, then by the current Democratic Governor Walz. Governors appoint thousands of people of all parties to boards and commissions created by the legislature for unpaid roles. This board has about 60 people, including Republican and Democratic representatives from business, education, unions, and community groups. Belter is listed as a no-party preference on his board profile.
Couple things. One, the human condition is endlessly puzzling. Do you just wake up one day and decide you're going to murder people?
How's that process work?
Because one of the roommates in this rented place, which is a strange situation.
Be nice to this guy.
I'm not done with the sentence.
Yeah.
They said he has known him since the 4th grade.
Yeah.
They're best friends.
Yeah.
And you couldn't tell this was coming. The most he could come up with is that he was having some financial stress. But do you just wake up one day and say, I think Melissa Hortman's time has come. I'm going after her. I don't get it.
But didn't the roommate also say he was worried about him harming himself? I thought I saw a news clip of that.
Because he sent a text early that morning apologizing for what they were going to find out.
Yeah, 2 weeks prior to that, to pick a date, the roommate wasn't worried about him harming himself.
True. No.
That morning, he got the text from his lifelong friend, Belter, saying, sorry, guys, I don't want you implicated. You may not hear from me again. I could be dead. Boom. Okay. And they're all in shock. They're all astonished that this could happen. I'd love to hear an extensive interview with the wife. Maybe that'll be forthcoming. I don't know.
Yeah. That roommate drew something out of me I wasn't ready for. I really, just seeing him and listening to him talk, I really sympathize with the guy for some reason. You know what I mean? He just seems like a sad sack and like somebody that would get bullied and picked on. And
he was so emotional, too.
Yeah, and it just seems like a guy I want to help protect.
You have the Papa John shirt on?
Yeah.
John Hoffman's wife, Yvette, told Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar that she had been shot 8 times in the attack. Senator Hoffman shot 9 times.
Wow.
She added that Hoffman has been going through multiple surgeries, that being John Hoffman, saying he is closer every hour to being out of the woods. This happened yesterday. We are gutted and devastated by the loss of Melissa and Mark. We have no words. There's never a place for this kind of political hate. Hoffman and Yvette were brought to Mercy Hospital in Coon Rapids after they were shot.
Can we put Yvette at the front of the line and make her the GLer of the week? Send her some syrup. I know it's a small token, but she sounds like, man, she did what mothers do.
She's a badass. She's a mama bear.
She just said, you ain't shooting my kid.
Right. Yep.
I want to send her can you get her the gift box? Yeah.
We learned new things about Belter being at their place. Evidently, when he knocked on the door, he had a really powerful flashlight that he was shining in their face. They couldn't see him. And then as soon as he clicked that off, they saw that, I think a rubber mask or something, they sensed something was wrong and said, you're not a police officer. And then all hell broke loose.
Yeah. The jury trial in Senator Nicole Mitchell's burglary case, which was scheduled to begin today, has been postponed because of the shootings. The Democratic legislator is accused of using a crowbar to break into her stepmother's home in Detroit Lakes in April of 2024. At a remote court hearing this morning, Chief Judge Michael Fritz said, I do not find a credible argument supporting moving forward right now with this trial. The tragic and senseless violent events of Saturday, which have profoundly impacted the entire state and this nation, are not only causing concerns about impacting the possibility of a fair trial, but he said the court has some real concerns about safety and security. Mitchell's attorneys confirm Mitchell was on the hit list of the alleged killer.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Well, okay, never mind. The trial's delayed.
It's delayed,
right.
Yes. Yeah, it hasn't been canceled. Or it's just been postponed for the moment.
By the time this is over, Mitchell's going to be awarded millions of dollars for
Don't even say that.
pain and suffering that she's gone through, and whoever house she broke into, she'll probably end up owning that, and she'll probably be governor.
Meanwhile, over the weekend, Governor Walz officially signed off on the remaining bills, which were part of the two-year state budget. An email sent by the governor's office Saturday said the governor signed the bills earlier that day. Among those signed included a bill which denies adult undocumented immigrants access to the state's public health insurance program, and any adult undocumented immigrants who are currently enrolled will be phased out of the program by the end of the calendar year. That bill, of course, we talked about it, was passed during the one-day special legislative session last Monday. Legislation will still allow the children of undocumented immigrants to enroll in Minnesota Care. Also signed a $700 million bonding bill, which addresses infrastructure projects. Also includes a grant program for public, private, and charter schools to install special law enforcement key boxes on buildings. Why don't we take a quick break here? We'll come back with the weekend news nationally and internationally.
Thank you, Johnny. Let's talk about our friends at North American Banking Company, who have one simple philosophy, and that is this. It's banking done differently. And you get that feeling anytime that you walk in any one of their six Twin Cities locations. I was even doing it slow, Joe. I promise you I was doing it slow. Twix is short for 6 Twin Cities locations, Rookie. I don't know if you got that or not. It's Roseville, 50th in France, Hastings, Woodbury, Shoreview, and Maple Grove. They do offer all of the services as the other big national banks, and it doesn't matter whether you're looking to buy a home, maybe finance a new home renovation project, or get that new car that you've been dreaming about. My friends at North American Banking Company are going to make all of that possible, and they offer the same online and mobile banking options as the other banks, but the key difference is you're going to get the unparalleled service of a community bank. And that's a promise that they made when they first opened back in 1998. They promised to deliver a better banking experience for their customers, where you know your banker and they know you. And while a lot has changed since then, this commitment to being a true community bank in the Twin Cities, that has not. So check them out online today. It's nabankco.com to learn more. Once again, it's banking done differently. North American Banking Company, member FDIC, is an equal housing lender.
Become bored with your nonsense.
The earth is not your mother. The Joe Souchere Show.
Here's Johnny Height.
I guess we just do some news at this point, national and international news. Demonstrators filling the streets of U.S. cities and towns over the weekend in coordinated No Kings events billed as the National Day of Peaceful Protest. The mostly calm marches organized under the theme No Individual is Above the Law coincided with the day President Trump hosted his military parade on the streets of the nation's capital. At least one demonstration about 70 miles from Washington in Northern Virginia was met with violence when a man intentionally drove an SUV through a crowd of departing protesters, hitting at least one person, according to police. Police in Los Angeles hit protesters with batons, fired tear gas, and ordered a large crowd of downtowners to disperse. Authorities said they were responding to people throwing rocks, bricks, bottles, and fireworks. In Portland, officers deployed tear gas and flash grenades, with demonstrators breaching the Immigration and Customs Enforcement facility. That, according to the Daily Mail, which reported 4 police officers were injured during the clashes. And in Salt Lake City, a 39-year-old man was killed following a shooting that occurred on Saturday during the No Kings protest. Kind of a weird situation. Apparently, the victim, Arthur Alou, passed away despite life-saving efforts at the hospital. He was caught in between some gunfire. Police identified the suspect in the killing as Arturo Gamboa. He was 24 years old. He was found with a rifle and a gas mask in his backpack. 2 additional people were detained following the shooting, both wearing the visibility vests and armed with, according to Red, indicating they were possibly part of the march's peacekeeping team. The incident occurred just after 8 p.m. as protesters marched. According to witness statements shared during the press conference, security personnel noticed Gamboa separate from the crowd and go behind a wall to prepare his rifle. When they confronted him, Gamboa raised the weapon in a ready position and began running toward the crowd. One of the peacekeeping team members fired 3 shots, hitting Gamboa and the bystander Alu in what appears to be crossfire. The shooter is cooperating with the investigation, according to police. Police say the incident unfolded very quickly. It was chaotic, but it was resolved very quickly thanks to our officers and to citizens and community members who helped the police.
The military parade did not appear to be heavily witnessed. Did anybody see any news
I
footage
did
of
not
that?
see any feedback on
Did
that.
not watch it.
I saw
There
some
was a family from Indiana that set up about 4 card table chairs, and they were there.
It was one of the saddest. Did you see the video of the tank?
What was it? It was a ding-ding tank. It didn't work.
Well, it was coming through squeaking, and
It was squeaked
about
like hell.
10 people on the bleachers,
Yeah.
and it was just. Yeah, it was not.
It was a bad tank, man.
Anyway, the most estimates for put the crowd numbers.
Joe, it was a tremendous tank, and it was a wonderful parade, and it was well attended with millions enjoying.
More on that in just a minute. Most estimates put the crowd number put the crowd number well below the 200,000 that were expected. Now, a lot of that thought to be a reflection of the weather. It was kind of a rainy and overcast day in Washington, D.C. Despite the obvious lower number of people at the parade, White House spokesman Steve Chung said the crowd was at 250,000.
At capacity. Tremendous crowd.
Is that like when the Twins announced their crowd? Kind of the same deal?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
What happened to the Twins, by the way?
They stinks.
Yeah, I guess so.
They stinks. We stinks. Conflicting orders from the administration on the immigration issue the past few days. On Friday, ICE agents were told to pause raids at farms, restaurants, hotels, and meatpacking plants. They were also told to end arrests of non-criminals. Ag Secretary Brooke Rollins had reached out to President Trump to advocate for the end to farm raids, citing threats to the U.S. food supply. An estimated 42% of hired crop workers lack legal working authorization. That figure exceeds 1.1 million people in the hospitality industry. Last night, the president directed Immigration and Customs Enforcement to prioritize deportations in Democratic-run cities. He singled out sanctuary cities, particularly Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York. Several dozen sidelined Voice of America staffers have suddenly been called back to work as the Israeli-Iran conflict escalates. It's a dramatic turn of events for the American government-funded broadcasting system that was shut down by the administration in March. Steve Herman, who has been VOA's chief national correspondent since 2022, said the broadcaster specifically is bringing back Farsi language speakers who have been put on paid administrative leave. The move suggests the U.S. government wants to bolster the program going back into Iran. President Trump, several other world leaders arriving in Alberta, Canada yesterday for the annual Group of Seven summit. The forum includes the U.S., the U.K., Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the EU. It comes amid rapidly escalating tensions in the Mideast. In the Mideast, strikes between Israel and Iran continued for a 4th straight day following a Friday barrage by Israel targeting Iran's nuclear program.
Can I ask a no kings question?
Let's
I know
go.
we moved past the story, but if we didn't have any kings to begin with, we held all the protests across the country over the weekend, and today we still have no kings. Does that mean that they won? That they did the work successfully?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Just what purpose do these serve? To me, it's just
victory.
No, it's just ridiculous and stupid, and all you're doing is making yourself feel better. You precious little flower, you.
Yeah. Kenny, did you see the one? I don't remember where the young lady was from. I'm going to guess she was in her late teens, early 20s, and there's the man on the street reporter, and why are you here today? Well, just because this country was founded on injustice. And I'm listening to her talk. I wanted to play it, but it's just all it'll do is make you angry.
Yeah,
I'm thinking this poor gal.
I don't understand the purpose other than
let me play devil's advocate.
Yeah, do it.
Why did
I'm trying to understand.
anything?
No, I'm trying to understand. John,
how would you
me.
say then that anybody on either side should display their opposition to who's ever in charge? And I don't care which side, just either side.
I've thought about that so much, John, and you guys tell me, Joe, hello, Joe?
Yeah.
tell me the last time that a protest in this country really, really made a difference and turned people around. Kent State? Maybe the stuff in the 60s?
Well, Vietnam protests certainly made a difference. I mean, it helped change the zeitgeist, for lack of a better word.
I think it was 1956, and it wasn't this country. It was in Montreal. And the Montreal residents were so incensed that Maurice Richard had been tossed out of the roster for the Montreal Canadiens. This is all a true story. During the Cup, that they rioted, and I think Maurice was reinstated.
Okay, back to the news.
No,
Fair
because
enough.
John did that, I'm giving you this, young lady.
I think the answer is really obvious. These are my countrymen. This is my country. And my entire life, I was told that I have the right to protest, that I have a right to care. And I do care. And not only do I have a right, it's my duty. It's my duty to care about what's going on. It's my duty to stand up. People have been talking about injustice since this country was built. This country was built on injustices.
There you go.
We killed Native Americans, and we built it off the backs of slaves. And they want to talk about how reparations, and that's just, it happened 100 years ago, and we shouldn't talk about it. We see the effects today. America was built on bigotry. America was built on hate. And it doesn't have to be that way. I do not live in a country. I do not pay tax dollars to murder innocent people. These are people. This is a country for us. This is a country of my parents and my children and my neighbors. And this is a country of immigrants. The colonials did not pay thousands of dollars. They did not wait 8 years to have citizenship. They didn't do that. I am not going to sit here while my people suffer.
Biggest threat to America is white women. White liberal women.
You know, Joe, I have to give you credit. I would have bet my life savings, granted that's not much, but I would have bet my life savings you were not going to make it through that entire 60-second
No, the
clip.
reason I did is she was echoing every single thing you're taught in the failed academy. Everything. This country's unfair. It was based on injustice.
All of those colonists gathered in Philadelphia to talk about how much they hate.
Right. And then what town was that? Do we know?
Give me a second. I'll find out.
Fantastic.
That night she went to an outdoor cafe and dropped $200 while she was on her phone.
Right. I don't know the location of this particular one. But
President Trump.
you know what? Does it matter?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm just going to let this one go. President Trump.
Why? Okay, why are you just going to let it go?
Well, that's one person out of 5 million.
They were all like that, John.
5 million that protested. If we just take one person, like Chris Reavers, and listen to him.
I would think I'm a lot more rational and level-headed than most people that will be out there protesting.
I'm going to say that Chris would be more level-headed than that woman.
Okay.
But where did she get with that, John? What difference did she make?
I don't know
Kenny,
that she made
had
any
a duty
difference.
to care. Okay?
I don't know. Yeah. So what I'm hearing from you guys is take all your principles and screw them. Just throw them away.
No, but her principles, John, are nothing but holding this
their
country in
argument
contempt.
Their argument is don't show those principles, no matter what they are. Don't go out and protest if you disagree with something.
No. Protest all you want, but her principles are that she holds this country in contempt. Which is false because she really doesn't.
Agreed. Like the guy said, if you could take the bleep out of your ears, that's not what Kenny and Chris are saying. They're saying, why go out and protest? What good does it do?
Oh, well,
You're saying her principles work. That's fine. I have no problem with disagreeing with her or anybody else that protests.
Yeah.
But if you can't protest for your principles, what should you protest for?
All right, then let's go to another viewpoint.
I'm just so scared. I'm 74 years old. I worry about everything. And I'm so
Is this a
scared.
Is this a skit?
Upset, and I don't understand why people voted for this person.
No, John.
Was that a bit?
I don't think so.
In reference to me, you're absolutely right, John. Because when I look at the No Kings thing, I go, anyway, what's on
Certainly.
That
Hockey playoffs on today.
That young woman at 74, Ken, if you were wondering, is from Philadelphia. That was from Philadelphia where we got that particular protester.
All right. President Trump, let's move right along here. And his family are getting into the wireless business.
Oh,
in
Trump Wireless.
Well, it's actually Trump Mobile, Chris. Trump Organization. Yeah, you guys, you go ahead. Yeah, talk some more. Trump Organization on Monday announced Trump Mobile, which will offer 5G service for an unlimited plan, the 47 plan. Do you get it? Priced at $47.45 a month. $47.45.
I got it.
The new venture joins the lineup of the company's other businesses, which span luxury hotels, golf clubs, casinos, retail, other real estate properties. Customers can switch to Trump Mobile's T1 mobile service using their current phone. In addition, you can get a T1 phone, described as a sleek gold smartphone engineered for performance and proudly designed and built in the United States. I doubt it. For customers who expect the best from their mobile carrier. Trump Mobile functions as a mobile virtual network operator, offering 5G service through the three major U.S. wireless carriers, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile USA. Trump Mobile and its carrier partners are subject, of course, to regulatory oversight by the Federal Communications Commission, which is, of course, headed by Trump-appointed FCC Chairman Brendan Carr. But, nothing to see here, folks. Move right along.
Yeah. Who's Lou Ragoose?
Care 11.
I was just handed this.
Uh-oh.
Apparently, he's been able to access, and I don't know how.
The complaint. It's from the complaint.
Oh, everybody has it, Joe. I'm seeing reporters on TV.
Dad went to war last night. Vance Belter texted his wife and other family members at 6:18 a.m., according to the new federal complaint. And it was in Bolter's wife's car that police found 2 handguns, $10,000 in cash, and passports for her and the kids who were with her at that time. Bolter had texted, "There's going to be some people coming to the house armed and trigger happy, and I don't want you guys around." Regarding the owner of the Buick, the complaint says Bolter approached him at a bus stop, asked to buy his e-bike, went to his house with him, asked to buy his Buick. They went to the bank together where Bolter emptied his account and bought the car and the e-bike.
You are kidding me.
What? Holy
And this is coming from the feds? Is this from
This
Lou
is from
or
the
feds?
complaint
Okay.
that apparently Lou Ragoose has been made privy to. I'm sure all reporters have by now.
Wow. Those are startling developments. Very interesting. Because I did know they had been reporting that he did go to a bank and take some money out.
Then what is it that I saw on social media of a guy breaking into that car? Apparently that was just somebody else?
That has, I think you saw what you saw. I think you might be mistaken about his motive. We don't know the motive.
Maybe he saw something in the car he wanted.
Maybe, but you made the mistake of jumping to a conclusion, which, I've been doing that all weekend. So
Not really, because I never...
Yeah, you did.
No,
Yeah,
because
you
I
did,
didn't
actually.
see him drive away.
You said he somehow figured out how to start.
No, I said he presumably was then going to try to figure out how to start it. For all I know, that was taken in Ashtabula, Ohio.
This isn't worth talking about.
It isn't.
Joe.
Anyway, he bought himself a Buick and an e-bike.
I wonder what he paid for the
You
Buick.
wanna
He drained his account.
Fit an ad in here?
No, I wish I had one.
I'm glad you don't.
Right.
We're all thinking alike.
Are you done, John?
Well, I can continue if you'd like.
No, I think you're done.
Looked at the clock. And
Yeah.
thought,
Thank you very much.
yeah. Okay.
God bless you.
Oh, excuse me.
It's all about timing, isn't it?
Like it was
It's all
part of
about
the song.
timing.
Everything is. Well, that one caught me off guard.
Us too.
What do you got, Kenny?
No liner.
Never mind. I forgot.
A lot.
I want to read a paragraph from a press release that just came out from the United States Attorney Office. Starting next, Belter drove to the home of Speaker Emerita and Representative Melissa Hortman. Meanwhile, local law enforcement, having heard of the shooting at the Hoffman residence, drove to the Hortman household to conduct a safety check. Upon arriving, officers saw Bolter's car, a black Ford Explorer SUV, designed to look like a law enforcement vehicle. It was equipped with police-style lights that were on and flashing. Officers saw Bolter standing several feet from and facing the front door of the Hortman home. Moments later, Bolter fired several gunshots into the home, repeatedly striking Mr. Hortman. As Bolter did so, he rushed into the home and fired several additional shots, repeatedly striking Representative Hortman. Officers provided medical aid to the Hortmans and attempted to pursue Bolter, who abandoned the SUV and fled, initially on foot. Both Hortmans died from their wounds. Well, and just briefly, law enforcement searched the SUV, recovered 5 firearms, including semi-automatic assault-style rifles, a large quantity of ammunition, several notebooks filled with handwritten notations. Those notes listed out the names of dozens of Minnesota state and federal elected officials. The notes often identified those officials' home addresses. There you go. And it goes on and on and on to describe the whole thing that happened all weekend, but that's the part we wanted to get out there.
The traveling Lymans left Eden Prairie last night for London.
Good.
They have a 9-hour and 5-minute layover at London Heathrow. They leave London for Johannesburg, South Africa tomorrow. They have a 3-hour and 15-minute layover at Johannesburg OR Tambo Airport. The third flight is from Johannesburg to Nels Pruitt Kruger Mpumalanga Airport, South Africa. That's June 17th. Time from wheels up to wheels down on all flights, 38 hours and 31 minutes. If everything is on time, door to door, total time returning rental car, picking up rental car, etc. is 42 hours, 30 minutes, and they're back in the wildlife refuge. That does not stop Mr. Lyman from his appointed Garage Logic duties.
May I ask a quick question?
You may.
38 straight hours of travel.
No, a
with
lot
a couple
of
layovers.
layover time.
That would really test the game of flaws for the 5 of us.
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. I ain't ever going to do this.
I don't think so.
No. On this day,
Joe, today is June 16th.
In 1854, arriving in St. Paul, the steamer Galena delivered cholera along with its passengers. Cholera's last occurrence in Minnesota would be in 1873.
Yes. The steamer.
On this day,
on June 16th,
in 1863, General Henry H. Sibley and his troops left Camp Pope near present-day Redwood Falls on a campaign against the Dakota. On this day,
June 1,
in 1931, the bones of Minnesota Man were uncovered by a road crew near Pelican Rapids. Despite its name, this glacial-age human skeleton was likely that of a teenage girl. On this day,
on June 16th,
in 1945, the last Navy tanker built at the Savage Shipyard was launched. The Wassissa was one of 18 ships manufactured there for the war effort. And we already went through all this on this day in history and how they got there. And what, okay.
Bridges, the whole deal.
Lake Superior, whatever. No, Lake Michigan. I don't know. On this day,
on June 16th,
in 1955, Mary Grant, the youngest of Sauk Center's fabled Grant sisters, was born. I never heard of them. She played the French horn in venues around the world.
Yeah, Joe, come on.
They're famous, yeah.
Sure they are.
Were they on the Lawrence Welk show, those sisters?
Well, if Joe hasn't heard from them, they're nobody.
That's right, Kenny. And I defy you to tell me you've heard of the Grant sisters.
Where do you rank
Oh, sure, I've heard of them,
Yeah.
Joe. I've been to their shows, backstage, smoking weed with them, the whole deal.
Where do you rank
Going
the
on a
French
party.
horn?
I like a good French horn.
Yeah, especially when you see that at Mass. I like it at
It
Mass.
sounds funny on its own, but boy, does it sound good in an orchestra.
And finally, on this day,
June 16.
in 1999, Kathleen Celaya, our own little terrorist,
Yeah.
a fugitive since 1974, was arrested in St. Paul. Having lived under the name Sarah Jane Olson, Celaya was a presumed member of the Symbionese Liberation Army, the group that kidnapped Patty Hearst and was wanted for the attempted bombing of 2 police cars. She had been featured on the television show America's Most Wanted a few months before her arrest. I believe she's now back out among the rest of us. And on this day in Minnesota sports disappointment history.
On June 16th.
Why is this a disappointment? 2022, Golden State Warriors won the NBA Finals with Andrew Wiggins.
Oh, because we traded him, too.
Maybe that was disappointed that we saw one of our Timberwolves win the title with the Warriors.
Yeah.
Have they heard of the NHL?
Yeah. Apparently not. Boy, that's become must-watch TV is this Stanley Cup Finals series. We're going to Game 6 tomorrow night in Florida.
What a joke. This should have been over in April. Who's watching hockey in June?
Well, thank you, G. Ellers.
Apparently Joe is.
You're not biting on that one.
I don't have
Nope,
time
didn't
to
go for it.
straighten you out.
Please do us a favor if you haven't done so already. Join the thousands of subscribers on the Garage Logic YouTube channel. That's right, Garage Logic has a YouTube channel, and you can watch the show each and every single day starting right around noon. You can also see full segments. There's video shorts. There's behind the scenes footage, but it's all there for you. Just search Garage Logic on YouTube and also search for us on all of our social media channels, which includes Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And also sign up for the Daily Logician. That email comes right to your inbox each and every single day, and it includes the most recent episode of the podcast. You can find out more and sign up online right now at the website, which is, of course, garagelogic.com.